Welcome to Embrace and Restore, the podcast where we dive deep into creating supportive and restorative learning environments. I'm your host, Dr. Diana Davis Smith, and in today's episode, we're delving into a topic that touches many lives: dyslexia. No, dyslexia is often misunderstood. So I think I'm going to spend some time to break it down so that we as educators, we as parents, we as family members, and general community members can better support learners with such disorders. How let's look first at the basics of dyslexia, huh? Let's look how it's evidenced, how it's recognized, and how it's passed on. We look at research based methods for supporting learners with dyslexia at home, using the principles, of course, of social emotional learning and, yes, restorative practices. So, what is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a learning disability that affects reading, it affects writing, and it impacts spelling as well. It's caused by differences in the way the brain processes language. Huh? Let us be clear. It's caused by differences in the way the brain processes language. People with dyslexia have normal intelligence, but they may have difficulty with some tasks. Now, what are some of those tasks that they might have difficulty with? They might have difficulty reading letters and words. They might have difficulty spelling words, writing sentences and paragraphs, or even remembering what they have heard or even what it is that they have read. Dyslexia is not a sign of laziness or stupidity, so let us put that aside. Dyslexia is not a sign of laziness or stupidity. It's a neurological condition that can't be cured, but it can be managed with the right support. And of course, for me in my episodes, the right support centers around social emotional learning and, yep, restorative practices. Dyslexia is evidenced in a variety of ways: the difficulty learning to read and write, slow reading speed, poor comprehension of what has been read, difficulty spelling words, difficulty with grammar and punctuation, sometimes even omitting letters or words. Sometimes they even add extra letters or words. There's just this general confusion with letters and words for persons with dyslexia. Now, a regular class teacher, by paying attention to those symptoms that we have discussed, will recognize that there is a challenge. Huh? But if the teacher recognizes this could be a possible challenge and dyslexia might be at play, the teacher should refer the student first and foremost to a qualified professional for assessment. Now, in Jamaica, we know that that is not easy to reach, but there are assessment centers that exist in the island and they can be accessed from time to time. However, because we know very well that there will be instances wherein parents won't be able to afford it, perhaps, or perhaps just simply can't reach that space. Let us look at the signs and the symptoms that will help us to support the learners. The class teacher recognizes the difficulty learning to read and write. The teacher will recognize slow reading speed. The teacher will recognize and note difficulty spelling words or even confusing letters and words and transposing letters, adding extra letters. These are some of the things that the teacher will recognize. The teacher now will have to support these learners. How do we support them at school? There are a number of things that the teacher can do to support the learners with dyslexia at school, including providing the child with extra time on tests and assignments. Yes, difficult as it might be, these are some things that we can do. We can break down the task into smaller steps. In management and leadership sphere, we would set a goal, but we set what we call small wins so that they're more attainable and encouraging along the way. So let us break down tasks into smaller steps that student can accomplish that, and then you move on to the next, and they feel a sense of empowerment. The teacher can use a variety of teaching methods and materials. The teacher can create a positive and supportive learning environment. But whilst the teachers in school can do that, what the role of the home is critical. And there are a number of things that family members can do to support learners with dyslexia at home. Reading to the child regularly, talking about the books you have read together, helping the child to do their homework, providing the child with access to technology such as audiobooks or text to speech software to support them, praising the child's efforts and accomplishments, who don't like get praise, and creating a supportive environment for learning at home. So let them have a quiet space and a supportive space, not TV blasting and music playing and all of that. Let them have their special place for learning. So my social and emotional in practice, my social emotional learning and my restorative practice infusion now. Social emotional learning can help students to develop the skills they need to manage their emotions, to build relationships, and make responsible decisions. Restorative practices, on the other hand, can help them to create a more positive and supportive school environment where all students feel respected and valued. So let us look at the SEL. Let us help students to develop self awareness and self acceptance. Yes. Teach students how to manage their emotions and to cope with stress. Help students to develop positive relationships with their peers and their teachers. Important. Teach students how to set goals and make responsible decisions. Setting goals and making responsible decisions are important. Students with dyslexia, they face frustration, they're anxious, and a blow to their self-esteem. They feel that because of their learning challenges. So it's important for us to embrace the social emotional learning principles and see fit that into our efforts to support students. How do we support them? Through restorative practices. Restorative practices comes into play by creating a sense of community within the classroom. Circles and restorative conversations help students to share their struggles, and they share their successes as well. And what this does is that it promotes empathy and understanding amongst classmates. It not only reduces the stigma around dyslexia, but it encourages a collaborative learning atmosphere. No, for families and teachers, adopting restorative methods can strengthen the support system through regular check ins, open communication, and problem solving sessions. These can help both the academic and the emotional challenges. Of course, opportunities for workshops that combine social emotional learning principles can empower families with the knowledge and skills to better support their dyslexic learners. And we can't ignore the point of my sessions, embrace and restore. So you can always come back to this space to get the support that you need. So, the integration of social and emotional learning and restorative practices creates a holistic approach to education. By recognizing and addressing the well being of students with dyslexia, we can pave the way for a more inclusive and nurturing learning environment. I believe that and I hold it to be true. I'm Diana Davis Smith. Embrace and restore. Thank you for being here in this space with me. Thank you for sharing with me. And as we continue our journey towards creating spaces for growth, reflection, and collaboration, join me again next week. Looking forward. Thank you so much.